Hello, everyone, and welcome. We're going to go ahead and get started. I'm sure there'll be folks coming in as we continue. But first of all, welcome. I'm Brenda McKinley, the Library Director here at the Ridgefield Library, and it's so wonderful to see so many of you out tonight on this cold and windy night to hear from Nick Donofrio. Throughout the fall, the library has been presenting our 2024 scholarly series, The Curious Mind, Discovery and Exploration, which has been made possible with support from the Friends of the Ridgefield Library. Tom Madden, the president of the Friends, is here with us tonight. For those of you who don't know, the Friends is a separate 501c3, and they do tremendous work throughout the year that allows us to do expanded programming and collections work. But together throughout this series, we've explored the many different aspects of human curiosity, and we've done it in many ways, from hands-on activities to book discussions to fascinating lectures. And while we still have one more presentation, which is an art talk on Sunday, December 15th with award-winning photographer Joe McNally, tonight is our closing keynote with Nick Donofrio. And we've asked Nick to close the series with something of a call to action. What we've learned is that our curiosity leads to discovery when we act on it. And as Nick will share, when we embrace the change that may come from it. Nick Donofrio is a well-known name here in Ridgefield, most often as a philanthropist who, along with his wife Anita, supports many arts and cultural and service organizations. What may be less well known is that when Nick supports an organization, that includes the generous gift of his time, his advice, and his expertise. There have been many times in my tenure here at the library when Nick has made himself available to answer questions and offer guidance, and in true Nick fashion, often challenging and pushing to do more, to think more broadly, to be more creative in finding solutions. He is, whether he means to be or not, the world's best mentor. And while we may all think of him as Ridgefield's own, Nick Donofrio is truly a world-renowned legend in the technology industry. Nick's full biography is beyond impressive. We have many printed copies floating around the room, and the curious among you can use the QR code on the flyer to read his full bio, but I'd be remiss if I didn't share a few brief highlights. Nick started his storied 44-year career at IBM in 1964, and his roles included Division President for Advanced Workshops, General Manager of Large-Scale Computing, and Executive Vice President of Innovation and Technology. Throughout his career and beyond, Nick has been sharply focused on advancing education, employment, and career opportunities for underrepresented minorities and women. Nick is a member of many technical and honor societies and a fellow of numerous national and international science academies, including the American Academy of Arts and Sciences. Nick has served on the boards of directors for many corporations and organizations, ranging from the National Action Council for Minorities in Engineering and the Peace Tech Lab to the National Association of Corporate Directors. Nick has served our governments, both locally and nationally, including on the 20-member Commission on the Future of Higher Education for the U.S. Department of Education, and was recently named as a founding trustee for the USA Semiconductor Technology Center, operator Natcast. Nick has received numerous awards and academic honors. To add to his Bachelor of Science in Electrical Engineering from Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute and his Master of Science in Electrical Engineering from Syracuse University, Nick has numerous honorary PhDs awarded by both US and UK institutions of higher education. Most recently, Nick was named a Sigma Xi Fellow and was awarded the National Action Council for Minorities in Engineering's Percy Kier Lifetime Achievement Award. This is really just the tip of the iceberg. Please do take a moment to read through his complete bio. Or, with the holidays coming up, stop by our own Books on the Common to pick up Nick's autobiography. If nothing changes, nothing changes. As a librarian, I can tell you, it is a great read. And it makes a great gift for yourself or as inspiration for someone in your life. The Ridgefield Library's mission statement ends with the phrase, "The place where people discover, question, learn, and connect." And really, that's the perfect description for tonight's keynote. Our plan is to have some time for your questions, so that is truly more than enough from me, and I am thrilled to welcome Mr. Nick Donofrio to the podium.
I almost feel like it's pretty time, so don't worry. I got it in my pocket. Can you all hear me okay?
Yeah. I almost feel like we should just go directly to questions now. Forget the presentation. That was brilliant. Did you tape that? I'd like to bring it home to my wife. Number one, thank you all very much for coming this evening. I know you have a lot of choices and a lot of things that you could be doing, so I appreciate your support of the library. Secondly, I'd like to provide you with a few caveats. Number one, it is not my intention this evening to offend anyone. But it is very possible I will. So I want you to understand that's not what I'm trying to do. I am trying to impress you in terms of what's right and what's wrong, at least the way I see it, what's right and what's wrong and what needs to be done. So if in any way, shape, or manner I offend you, my apologies up front. Fair enough? Okay, terrific. We are going to have a sufficient amount of time for questions, and I want to put you in a different mood, a different frame of mind. So this isn't going to be about my book, although I'm using a lot of slides that I used for my book. It's really going to be about this: the science, the engineering, the art of change. That's what it's all about. The science, the engineering, the art of change. Because there's some of everything in this change that has to happen, that is happening whether you like it or not. And it all depends on what you're doing about it and with it, as to how comfortable you're going to be, how happy you're going to be, how successful you're going to be, or how offended you are going to be because of it. Brenda said it well. I actually started out in this industry in 1964. 60 years ago, this year, is when I first went to work for IBM. And as fate would have it, it's pretty much where I stayed until I graduated in 2008. But 60 years is my frame of reference for you. 60 years, right? I'll be 80 years old next year, so all but 20 of my years we're going to be talking about. And I'm going to try to help you understand what's really transpired and give you a glimpse of what will likely happen going forward. Fair enough? And in my world, it all starts with this chart. So I'm not going to try to make you all, this is scientific notation, savvy. Maybe you understand it, maybe you don't. Some of you might, some of you won't. This is an important chart. I actually discovered this chart 35 years ago. It was printed in the New York Times. So I was floundering around trying to figure out what is life all about, what am I doing I'm an electrical engineer. I actually did honest work for a living at one time. I mean, I actually am a circuit, a chip, a semiconductor process computer designer. I actually did some real work at one point in time, not much, but some that got me to where I am. But I found this chart, and I said, this is it. This is what life is all about for me. I know it's hard to get around that, I can hear you. But can I just give you some simple simple examples of what I'm talking about here, without hurting myself? Start right here with 1. That's simple enough. Let that be normal. That's where we all begin, at 1. So my 60 years have transversed from 1 all the way up to 10 to the minus 18th in terms of small things. So small things kept getting smaller. We can talk about how that happens, but you don't have to even worry about it. Small things keep getting smaller, and they'll keep getting smaller. That's just the way the world goes. That's the science of it. You know, that's not anything you can stop. While small things get smaller, big things get bigger. Big things get bigger. I mean, we're down here in petascale, perhaps even exascale. 10 to the 18th. Big things, 10 to the minus 18th, little things. You following me? In my lifetime, in my 60 years, that's my life. That's what happened. Technology drove all of this. It was happening whether you liked it or not. It was happening because of you or despite you, but it was happening. Technology will march this way. We haven't run out of things to do. We haven't run out of orders of magnitude. I am sure before I die, there will be something beyond a yocto, second or a yottabyte of information. 10 to the 24th for yotta, 10 to the minus 24th for yocto. Anybody watch the Seinfeld? Anybody besides me watch Seinfeld? He actually used the word yotta once. You remember that? Oh, yada, yada, yada. Yeah, yotta. Like, okay. And I said that to my wife, and she said, only you would get that. I don't think so. I think other people would know it. This is what's going on. So the science underneath this, the ability to discover how to move through the periodic table, find new things, create new materials. I don't care what industry you're in, whether it's life sciences, whether it's physical sciences, or political sciences, or library sciences, or education sciences. It doesn't matter. It's all moving apace because of this drumbeat of technology. And you're going to find your own 60 years on this chart or something like it. Now I'm going to convert this on this slide into something that meant something directly to me at IBM. This is a famous cost curve, the price of a calculation per second. And Ray Kurzweil, famous computer scientist, put this together, so I'm using his chart. Some of you may know Ray Kurzweil. He happens to be a strong proponent of the theory of singularity. I don't buy that crap. So I'm not a singularity. Singularity meaning at some point in time, technology will advance to become equal to you. So you and technology will be on the same basis. And we'll talk about AI, I'm sure that's on your mind. That's not going to happen. Just, I'm giving you my punchline, and we can debate it if you'd like to. But he did draw a very good chart, because this chart shows my famous 60 years. I mean, let's start right there, let's go right there. And all of that change happened because big things got bigger and small things got smaller. And usually small things get smaller, that allows big things to get bigger. That's usually the way it works. And that is what drove the microelectronics industry. Still drives it. There's still a need for it. Everything you do, whether you like it or not, everything you touch, whether you like it or not, is driven by the microelectronics industry. It's fundamentally critical to society. Part of the reason we developed this series was because I am deeply concerned that there's not enough talent to be able to do what needs to be done in order to keep up with the needs of the semiconductor, microelectronics, writ large industry. We're getting ourselves too comfortable with not knowing how anything works, but only that it works. And then when you don't know why it works, or how it works, or why it's not working, you're dependent on something or someone entirely different. And they may not tell you. They may not solve the problem for you. They may not fix it. Or they may fix it in a way that's beneficial to them. This idea of not understanding how it really works, this idea of not understanding the science and the engineering is part of the art, to be honest with you. It's part of the art to simply, nothing is beyond your comprehension. I can't make you all engineers, but I can certainly help you to start to think like an engineer. You simply need to keep asking questions. That's what engineers do. Okay, it works. How does it work? Why does it work? What if we did this? Could it work better? How does it work worse? If it does that good, what bad does it do? Those are questions that engineers, good engineers, should always ask each other. And when we stop asking those questions, and when we start assuming everything, trouble is afoot. Trouble is afoot. And for years in this country, we adopted more or less this plop on top attitude, which is, no, the way you make money is we give you a little bit of money, and in a short period of time, with a little bit of investment, you give us a lot of money back, and because of that, we never invest deeply. We never invest long-term. We invest short-term. That short-term mentality is what got us into the kind of mess that we're in this country, which also is the reason why there is such a thing as the CHIPS and Science Act. It's also the reason there is the National Semiconductor Technology Center, to try to figure out how to bring that back to the country. If it is a microelectronics-driven world, and you can argue that I'm wrong, you can argue that I don't know what I'm talking about, you can argue that's not true. For you, my wife would love it to not be a microelectronics-driven world. I want you to know that. She owns a 2012 Lexus, and she refuses to let it go. She is holding on to that thing for dear life because she knows what's coming is going to be more microelectronics, more stuff, more crap that she doesn't want. She doesn't understand what she has right now, and she's clearly not going to want any more stuff, but this is the way it's going. It goes this way because these are all productivity tools. You know, the whole reason these things are invented is to actually, in theory, make things easier, make things better, make you more productive. Not replace you, but literally expand you into something that makes, you know my history with IBM, so here's a question for you, a quiz, to see who gets this right. We'll figure out what to give you if you get this right. What was the original IBM logo? The original IBM logo, as per Mr. Watson Sr. Now, IBM is well over 100 years old. You have to think back. What was the original IBM logo? Anybody care to give it a... Think is wrong. Think is what it is now. But what was the original one? Say what? Close.
Light bulb?
CRT.
Well, that's what the companies were. You're getting closer. So I'm going to put you out of your misery. Time-saving machines. That's what the original IBM logo was. Time-saving machines. Productivity. That's what it was all about. You know, IBM used to make knee slicers and, as you said, time cards and clocks and scales, and they were all time-saving machines. So this is technology at its best now, because that's where we're trying to go with technology. It gets screwed up on a regular basis. Like I said, we've screwed it up because we stopped investing deeply. We started to only stay at the surface. We don't care. He's going to take care of that. He'll do all of the dirty work. I don't want to look under the hood. That happens a lot. My kids don't even know what the hell the hood is. I think my kids know two things about the car. The gas goes in there and the key, your butt goes in there. And that's it. They don't understand these things. I'm a car guy. Some of you might be car people as well. But it moves on. That doesn't make it right, and that should be worrisome, because who does know if they don't know? If the people that we are educating And by the way, to angle to another point, maybe you know this, there are more women going to college right now than men. You understand that? More women are enrolling in college than men. So I come from this microelectronics world. It's an all-boy sport. It was almost all men the whole time I grew up. In fact, probably mostly still now, with the exception of Lisa Su, who is the CEO of AMD, there are no women. There are no women examples of successes in the microelectronics business. Why? It doesn't have to be that way. There's not something that kind of segments off women can't do this. What do you mean women can't do this? They can't do what? They think better in many ways than men do. We need more women doing this work. We need more women understanding the ability to make these computational productivity happen quicker, faster, before everyone else. In many ways, this is why I badgered Brenda to move this conference in this direction. We keep trying to tell women what to do. Girls who code. I'm not against girls who code, so please don't be insulted. I'm a member of the Society of Women Engineers. I'm a life member of the Society of Women Engineers. But no, girls just don't code. Girls should design. They should develop. They should be creative. They should be enabled to be their best. How much better off would we be if we had a broader group of people understanding the problems? And that's what engineers do. They start with the problem, and they don't stop until they get the answer. And they keep asking those painful questions about, why does it work? How does it work? Why can't it work better? You know, what are the consequences of our actions? What happens if what happens if it doesn't do that? Does it do something else? What are the adverse consequences, known and otherwise, that could happen as a result of technology? I have to tell you, and my wife's not here, but please, whoever's taking notes, make sure you tell her this. Women are better at this than men. They have a broader view of what's going on. And look, it's not just women. I want you to understand the aperture has to be widened for everyone. For everyone. It's women, it's people of color. How about it's neurodiverse people? Neurodiverse people. You know, many people misunderstand neurodiversity. There's nothing wrong with a neurodiverse person. They're not stupid. They're just neurodiverse. They need a special environment to be their best. And you have to adapt to that environment. And no matter what I rattle off, I could rattle off religion, I could rattle off ethnicity, I could rattle off physical ability. There's always one more. Do you understand? There is always one more person to be inclusive with. And this is what we have to do a better job of in this country. Embracing everyone. Other countries force you into this. They don't even ask you. You know, they just, at grade 3, we've decided what you're going to be. And that's it for the rest of your life. That's how you get programmed, that's how you get educated, that's what you're going to do. Now, we've got the power of choice here in this country. We all get to see the facts, and then we all decide what we believe and what we want to do about that, and what do we hold truthful and hold sacred to ourselves. So you want to embrace the change that's going to happen, we can make it even better. We can make it even better the more inclusive it is, the broader it becomes. And look, I use computational calculations. We can use technology adoption curves. You know what these things are, how fast everything's moving quicker. Yeah, of course it's moving quicker. Look at the cell phone compared to electricity. I mean, I'm an electrical engineer, so I'm very biased towards electricity, by the way. So I want you to know none of this would happen without electricity. I just want to make it clear to you, that if you're looking to be an engineer, electrical engineer would be a really good thing to be, very resilient. Or AI, the adoption curves for AI. Now, this is another big issue. AI what? You ask yourself the question, what is it doing for you? making you feel good, answering your questions online, serving as a companion. I don't know what you're doing with AI, but I want you to know this. You are spending a lot of resources to do very little work with AI. AI is a pig when it comes to consuming energy, computer cycles, space, and time. Now, it's going to get better because the chip manufacturers have figured this out. And lead them, and then engineers take over. Know that a lot of this stuff gets better when you convert it into silicon, when you convert it into the chip. You just don't run it on the chip. You actually embed it in the chip. There's nothing faster than a command that is embedded in a piece of silicon. It just doesn't run any faster than that. Everything else runs on top of it. Am I making myself clear to you? Without trying to teach you how to do Boolean algebra and everything else that goes with it. This is very important to understand. We actually made our living at IBM doing this. We kind of invented a lot of these tools. You know, we'd study people's workloads. I mean, say, look at that. I mean, this thing goes over there, that goes over there. So why don't we build a command that does that? And we'll just embed it. And then, 32 cycles of your time aren't ways to doing that anymore. We're going to embed it in the chip. This is how NVIDIA does it. This is how Intel does it. This is how AMD does it. This is how everybody does it. This is how the Chinese are studying us to do it too. You embed it. You bring it into the silicon. That's what makes it cheaper, faster, more productive. It's not a pig anymore. I've been dealing with the state of Connecticut on a lot of these AI centers. They're probably sorry they ever asked me. And there's a lot of people that want to come here and build data centers and ask for privilege power. I said over my dead body, I give nobody privileged power to run an AI center. Because first off, they have no idea how wasteful they are. So if they came to us and said, okay, we're going to start here and we'll improve 3, 4, 5 orders of magnitude in the next 2 years, maybe I'd listen to you. But my answer, if you're asking me for my advice, the answer is no. We don't want those data centers here. You're going to find they're all problematic. You're already finding that. Large language models don't seem to do anything. The value is in something called a localized language model, small language model, industry-specific language model. Who needs to know every word in the alphabet or every word in every language in order to bank, or in order to do insurance, or in order to book a travel arrangement? You don't need that. This is what productivity is all about. This is what time-saving machines are all about. They're not just fun. They're not toys. And I think of AI, and it's been around for a long time, so I'm saying things that might be offensive to some of you, so I warned you in the beginning. But it's got a long way to go. It does have a long way to go. It will get there. But listen to people who temper what they say about, you know what, we don't need that data center. You know what, we don't need all that power. You know what, here's my chip. It does it in 1/1,000,000th of the power of any others. That's how companies like NVIDIA get ahead of the power curve, or AMD get ahead of the power. The power curve is like this super exponential curve. If you ever fall behind it, you can race your heart out and will never catch it. You only catch the power curve when everything changes. When a new technology comes in and you're displacing it, and then you might stand a chance to jump and get to the next place. And we've got a history of IBM doing that. So quantum is another one. You get yourself all excited and jacked up over quantum. Quantum's been around as long as AI. I mean, the theory of quantum computing is what gives you encryption. Did you know that? We've had encrypted devices forever. It's the theory of quantum computing that gives you that. We just didn't know how to build a quantum computer. I mean, but we knew the theory of what we needed to do, and we can start to exercise that. They're getting closer. They're doing better. I'm not taking anything away from people who are working on quantum computing, but here too, I know too much about this industry. I think the number of women in this industry, I could count on one hand. On one hand, globally. I'm not just talking about here, I'm not just talking about IBM, I'm talking about the world. How much better off would we be if we had a broader perspective on what quantum computing can or can't do, or should or shouldn't do. And by the way, you heard it here, I probably won't be around for this, but you're never going to put a quantum computer in your pocket. I mean, that's not what's going to replace your cell phone, that's not what's going to replace your computer, that's not what's going to be in your car. You know, it's only meant to solve a certain class of problems, not every problem. You know, and the more realistic people understand that. They say that. So here you go. I mean, as an engineer, you have to be careful what you say about what you can do. It's exciting. Do you know why quantum computing is exciting? Because it has the promise of breaking every secure code. It has the promise of actually cracking every encryption algorithm you can think of. It's what everybody wants. It's the Holy Grail. It's what the Chinese want, that's what the Russians want, that's what we want. That's what everyone wants. That's why all the money gets poured into this, to be blunt with you. The same theory that allows you to do encryption will break it. Like that. You know, or 32, 64, 128, 200, 512-bit encryption breaks it in seconds. If you can do it. The theory is there. That's the quest, right? Can you get it done? Does this make sense to you? Keep everything in context is another important thought that you have to have. I want to say a few words about life sciences, because life sciences are the science of the 21st century. They tend to appeal to a broader audience. You know, more women like to go into life sciences. They want to make a difference. They know their time is short. They know they've got their own set of issues that are different than men. Life science is the science of the 21st century, completely enabled by, this will not surprise you, physical science. We would have never gotten there. We would have never sequenced the human genome without physical science technology. I mean, we tried to help Craig Ventnor do that when I was at IBM. He's a force for change. Somebody that Rudy Ruggles knows very well. But you see what's happened. I mean, it's exceeded Moore's Law. It's gone well beyond Moore's Law. That's got to get even better for us to get the personalized medicine that we're being promised from the advances in life sciences. So every day, they know exactly why you are you. They know your DNA, they know your RNA, they know your protein structure, and it's different than hers or his. And the reason that's important is because we'll treat you uniquely for what's good with you or what's bad with you. And this idea that it's not understood is nuts. Everything about us is uniquely put together and understandable. It's totally understandable. I happen to serve on the board of the New York Genome Center. I get to see this on a regular basis. This work is just mind-numbing. And I have watched them actually talk about the neurodiverse culture and why people are on the spectrum. And they know why people are on the spectrum. They know exactly what does that to you. Too much of this puts you over here. Too much of that puts you over there. Now, what can you do about it? Is there something that you can reverse the nucleide structure in order to kind of move you away from that spectrum? That's all to be determined. But it's so exciting. The uniqueness of you is what life sciences is all about. Does that make sense to you? All enabled by physical sciences. I mean, you can't do SWAT without a microprocessor. I'm trying to keep you linked together. I just had a root canal done here in Ridgefield. Third time, same tooth. Third time, same tooth. Listen to this. The second time, they went in the other way. So they go through your gum, down to their thing. It's painful, I know, you can think about it. This guy, right here in Ridgefield, brand new set of tools, brand new set of everything, cleaned it out just like that. Took me 3 hours to blast through the cap that was there, missed the post, of course, because he'd driven me right through the friggin' roof if he never hit the post. But he did it. And I said, well, why did I ever have to have this root canal the other way? Well, because these tools weren't invented when you had that root canal the other way. Does this make sense to you? This is where it all goes. And this guy's just an incredible guy. I won't mention his name because I'm not trying to solicit for him, but you know, he's a techno-weenie. I mean, we talked about technology the entire time I was in this chair. Maybe that's why he was extra good. He knew I was going to do something. And so this is the world that's in front of us. There is nothing that isn't influenced by engineering. Technology, the science of it, you can be that scientist, I'm not saying you shouldn't, but the engineering of it is what makes a difference. So the definition I kind of use for science and engineering is simple. You know, engineers are all about applying science to the common problems of everyday life. That's what an engineer is versus a scientist. They apply science to the common problems of everyday life. And we got a lot of them, and we can solve them all. Every one of them if we just put our mind to it. More about what you need to be able to do. You have to keep reminding yourself that everything is changing and that going forward, we're all judged. Less by what we did and more by what we do about what we don't know. Learn something every day. I'm playing the piano again. My mother made me take piano lessons when I was a little kid. I was in Catholic school, so I took them from kindergarten to 8th grade. But I have to tell you, those nuns beat it. I mean, they really don't understand how to read music. And I remembered it all. I mean, I'm not going to give you a concert anytime soon, but even my wife says it's not bad. Yes, I recognize that tune. Keep learning. I'm actually learning sign language. I'm also learning how to play the guitar. I'm not very good at any of those things, but don't stop learning. Life is an experiment. It's an exercise, and you've got to continue to exercise yourself and continue to learn. And that's, continuous learning is what all of us should aspire to. Never stop. Never stop learning. You know, I talk to a lot of graduates, I talk to a lot of college students, and talk at a lot of graduations, and I keep saying to them, it's not the end, it's the beginning. Because you're going to learn now what you really need to know about what you're trying to do. They didn't teach it to you, they gave you the basis. That's what education's all about. I mean, believe it or not, I've talked a little bit about electrical engineering. I still understand the basic equations. I probably could stay up with most people. I just can't do what they do. But I can clearly understand what they're doing and why they're doing it and what the concepts are. We need more of that. Yeah, do you lead it? Do you embrace it? Change is going to happen. It's entirely up to you to put yourself into a position where it matters. The innovative mindset. All right, there's a lot said about this. There's a lot written about this. You start with the problem, not the answer. That's why I think a more diverse organization matters. Because the more diversity there is, the harder it is to say, that's the problem. No, I have to listen to you, I have to listen to you, I have to listen. You know, the more you have to listen to, the more consensus you get around what is the problem. And then you can go to work. If you start with the answer, I guarantee you, your life will be short. Especially in the world of technology. We've written a lot about this, there's a lot published. It's pretty conclusive that starting with the problem and enabling the broadest set of people, open community, collaborative community, the broadest set of people you can enable to engage, you'll get a better answer. Over and over and over again, you get the better answer. If everybody in the room looks like me, we're in trouble. That's usually what I start with. If everybody in the room looks like me, we're likely not going to get the most innovative answer. So why are we comfortable, right? So the broader, the better. Once again, we need more women. We need more women. We need more women in the physical sciences and physical engineering. Yeah, what an important lesson this is. I'm not going to take you through this, but I almost lost my job because I didn't know what I was doing in terms of listening, but I learned very quickly. So, you know, and my lesson here is if you're going to fail, and I almost failed out of IBM, fail early in your career so that you have a lot of time to grow. And I did, obviously. Yeah, this is also a truism. Now you get back to the science of things and the engineering of things, right? So let's be realistic. Nature, by its very nature, pretty much distributes everything as evenly as it can. Right? That's kind of the way it goes. Things are uniformly distributed. Opportunity is not one of those things that's uniformly distributed, and I think you have to keep reminding yourself of that. So enabling people in different places and in different ways to get access to the opportunity is a big deal. It's how we start to make changes. It's how do we get more women engaged in engineering. It's how we get more people of color, or we get more neurodiverse people, or we get more people with different abilities engaged in engineering. And there is never enough time to do anything. You know, you keep saying, well, we'll do that tomorrow. How many times have you said that? I don't use that word anymore. It drives my wife crazy. You know, she thinks that I'm going to die tomorrow because she's trying to get everything done. I said, well, why do you think tomorrow's a better day than today? You know, who knows what tomorrow's going to bring? Time is never your friend. It never was and it never will be. Details matter. There are simple things as an engineer you learn. You know, if things don't look like they're going well, chances are they're not going well. You know, you don't have to kid yourself. You know, how did that happen? What went wrong? Engineers have a very simple process they go through. You made a bad assumption. You started off with something wrong. Go back to the beginning, I keep saying. Check your assumptions. Chances are your problem is there, not at the end. It's not you didn't forget how to multiply, subtract, add, and divide. Chances are there's an assumption that's wrong, and you're trying to solve a problem that has a bad assumption from the beginning. Engineers pretty much know this. They get smart. They figure this out routinely. Details do matter. Oh yeah, don't ever throw anything away. My wife hates this. I do say a lot of stuff. But, you know, it's all reusable. I mean, the basics are always the basics. It's always the same. You know, we just pile in more stuff on top of it. But, you know, how do electrons move? How do holes move? Maybe you don't want to ever care about that, but I do. Or, you know, what's a bending moment? You know, why is that stress too big? Why is this strut going to work? Why is that material the right material? What about optics, photo optics? I mean, the basics are the basics. The more you know that, the better served you are in this highly technically charged world that we're facing. Understanding the basics of a lot of things means this needs to become the engineering education model for all of us. This is controversial. I spent a lot of time in higher education. I think Brenda mentioned I served on Secretary Spelling's Commission for the Future of Higher Education. A lot of the work that built this T-shaped model came from that commission. I wasn't alone. There were 26 of us. We worked for a year to review the entire higher education system in the country. We waste too much time in our higher education system. We got to push it back, honestly push it back into the high school system as much as we can. Do more with the last 2 years of high school. There's a movement afoot, you may have heard about it, called P-Tech, where in your high school, you get 2 degrees when you graduate. You get a high school degree and you get an associate's degree for free in one 4-year education package. We've had a few of those in Connecticut. We had one in Norwalk. IBM sponsored it, I'm proud to tell you. So some of that idea came from this work that we did for the Spellings Commission. T-shaped model. You understand what that means? The way we educate people in this country is the more advanced your degree, the less you know. And I'm not trying to insult you if you have a PhD, but it's a PhD in what? It's a PhD in about that much, right? But when you started out, you know, as an electrical engineer up here, you had to know everything, right? So our model kind of takes you down. Well, that's not going to serve us well. We're going to need a broader view. Other countries have already recognized this. So, and you have to be able to move yourself along. That's why I said you're going to be a lifelong learner. And by the way, the guy who helped me put this together is sitting right here when we worked together at IBM Watson Research. This T-shaped model has gotten a lot of credit in academia. I was just telling him that I get like 3 or 4 notes now a day from academia saying they read that paper and they're including these thoughts in the work that they're doing. So think about this. Think about what I'm saying here, right? Going deep is good, but you have to also be broad. T-shaped, not I-shaped. And God only knows, we've had so many people try to tell me, oh, it's not really a T, Nick, it's a B, or it's a P, or it's a Z. And I said, you know what? When you're making the pitch, you can use whatever the hell you want. Pitch as a T. Okay. Yeah, of course, it's all about leadership. You know, it's one thing to be able to see it and to say it. It's another thing to be able to do it. And that's what we need to have more of. We need more doers. We need more people to simply stand up and engage and say, it's time to do this. It's time to go this way. We got to have this. We can't just have that. Because if we have that, we're going to end up in trouble, you know, going forward. You have to have the courage of your convictions to be able to move to those convictions. That's what people look for, you know, in true leadership. And that's it. That's my reference material list for you. In case you were wondering whether there's anything behind my substance, there's plenty of stuff you could read if you're interested in reading more about any of the things that I've said, whether it's the innovation model, whether it's the need for, you know, more diversity in the engineering disciplines, whether it's life sciences or physical sciences. The fact of the matter is, if we don't encourage everyone, women, men, people of color, people of different abilities, you know, to participate in the core value creation enterprise, we're screwed in this country. It's no more complicated than that. Think about what I'm saying to you. I'm telling you it's microelectronics. I'm telling you it's the microelectronics industry writ large. There isn't a thing you're doing today that hasn't been influenced by a microprocessor. Not a thing you've done. Whether you drove here, whether you're looking at your phone, whether you're talking to somebody, whether you're doing your work. And that's where my passion is right now. We have got to get more people, women, all kinds of, every talent pool you can think of engaged here, because we have a deficit, a mammoth deficit. 15, 20 years worth of deficit that we have to make up. ASML, just down the road. Anybody here from ASML? Anybody work for ASML? Okay, ASML is just down the road. They want to grow. They make one of the most important tools for semiconductors. They make the leading edge tool. They make a third of it in Wilton. A third of it. That tool's going to get $200, $300, $400 million for each tool. This is one tool. And you probably need 10 of them to make a semiconductor fabricator. They're people gated. They need talent. You know, they need mechatronics people. They need people who understand electronics, mechanical movement. They need optical people. I've been there. I visited them. I talked to the leadership at ASML. They're part of the semiconductor ecosystem. We're fortunate that we have ASML here in Connecticut. Fortunate. Even if it's headquartered in Holland. You know, they have an incredibly talented group of people there in Wilton. We need more of that. They need more talent. We need more talent in every fabricator. We got all of these people coming here to build more fabricators. We need more processors. We need more design. We need more of everybody engaged. Either that or give it up. Buy it from whoever was going to make it, and you're going to have to take it the way they give it to you. And the way they give it to you, chances are, is not the way they told you. Not to go to the dark side of everything, but there is a dark side if you're not careful. You get complacent, you get accustomed. And you've seen this over and over again, where other people are telling you, this is a good car. You know, it gets you the gas mileage you said, only to find out, 10 months later, they lied. And they're all going to go to jail because they lied. I mean, this is what goes on. I mean, this is the real world that we're living in, right? And I don't want to pick on anybody, so we need better engineers. We need more engineers. This is the call to action. It's not just girls who code. It's girls who do everything. Girls who design, girls who develop, girls who invent, girls who create. And it's also neurodiverse people, and it's also people of color, and it's also people of different ability. It doesn't stop. It doesn't stop. The bigger the embrace, the better off we are. And we live in a country that has a big embrace. So let's use it to our advantage. Thank you for listening. I'm happy to answer any questions you have. And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to go that long, but you mesmerized me. Happy in your stuff. And we're going to bring a microphone to you. So.
You outlined the problem. To what degree do you see signs of hope?
There are a lot of signs of hope, because there are lots of people who are pivoting right now, who are trying to build programs that will close this gap. There's a lot of money that's actually being put aside, especially through the organization that I'm a party to, Natcast, which runs the National Semiconductor Technology Center, for education programs, to kind of identify, recognize the gap, and then start to work to fill it quickly. And the only way we're going to do that is with these clever programs that accelerate. If all we do is what we've been doing, then all we're going to get is what we've been getting. That's actually how that change book got started. That's my father's change. My father gave me those words one summer night on that porch that I showed you. That's where the title of that book came from. He would say to me, son, you can't be like me, because all I do is what I've been doing, and all I'm going to get is what I've been getting. And that's not good enough for you. So if you want something different, change, son. Don't keep doing what you've been doing. And I think we need to accelerate these clever programs like P-TECH, these incentive programs where we compact education. Those are the programs that we're going to be looking for, to put billions of dollars in to kind of accelerate the talent that we need to be blown here in Connecticut, as well as across the country. So I do have hope. Push for that. Push for a more, by the way, it should be self-evident to you. The most efficient part of our higher education system, and I don't mean to insult college people, is actually P through 12. If you divide what you learn by how much money it costs you to learn, the most efficient system we have is P through 12. God bless all the P through 12 teachers that we have. And we need to push more, find a way to pull more talent and capability into the P through 12 system. That's why I like this P-TECH program, but that's just one, that's my idea. Go make up your own. There's a lot of great ideas that can be had here. Other questions?
I have a question.
Yes, right here.
Are the corporations and companies involved with P-TECH? Are they pulling in teenagers?
They are. They hire them. They actually sponsor those students. They hire those students. Some of them go to work directly for them as technicians.
Great.
You graduate high school, you got an associate's degree, that's good enough to do what I need you to do. And I know this as a fact, at ASML, they also have graduate programs for you. So did you want to go get a bachelor's degree? Fine, we'll fund you to get a bachelor's degree. ASML's been pulling them in from Bridgeport as fast as they can. Norwalk, those are good technical community colleges. And I once was the chairman of the Board of Regents for Higher Education in your state, so I know a little bit about where we are in Connecticut. Highly focused on higher education, have to become more efficient, more effective. But yes, I think you're going to see more of that. I think you're going to see companies doing it on their own. They are doing it on their own. IBM did it on its own. Intel is doing it on its own. ASML is doing it on its own. We're going to kind of, jumpstart them to make them do it faster. Yeah. Here.
Nick, I attended a lecture here about a year ago, and that seems to be light years in AI development, but he was I think he's a local resident. He was a Watson Fellow, and he talked mystically that you did in terms of replacement.
I can tell you who it is too, by the way. I won't mention names.
I work in the HR tech industry, and I do a lot of software
Yeah.
implementation. I'm not on the technical side, but more on the client-facing side. But in terms of back office functions and
Yeah.
time later, I mean, there was an announcement by IBM that they would freeze hiring and eliminate open recs for human resources position, that it could be strategic, it could be tactical, whatever, because of the trend, and this is the current CEO, in AI, they saw where it was going, that they were going to replace it, and they weren't going fast.
So look, I hear you.
I'm sorry if that was.
No, it's clear what you're saying. I didn't mean to imply that AI isn't important. What I meant to say was people are using it incorrectly. So you're putting a lot of money into it. You're just not getting a lot of benefit from it. And that stops like that. When corporations or institutions realize that there's no value in the billions of dollars that I've given you, it ends. It just ends. So there is a value associated with AI. There's a lot of startups who are doing incredibly well with this smaller language model approach. Start with the problem. I'll streamline your HR system. I'll streamline your billing system. I'll streamline your payment system. We can do that for you. Or your ordering system. There's so many disjointed things out there that could be fixed with very easy, modest improvements from an AI perspective. I also served on the Connecticut task force last year for AI, for the state, to try to get some recommendations to the governor and to the legislators here about what should we be doing in Connecticut on AI. What guardrails should we put up? What should Connecticut buy? Why should it buy it? What do you know? Why should we let you do business in Connecticut? There are consequences to these things. I'm not a big believer in regenerative AI, or generative, whatever you want to call it. I mean, I don't know if you understand what that means. It means you take the output of something and you plug it in the input. There isn't a person in the world, as an electrical engineer, that would ever take the output of something and plug it into the input of the same thing you took the output from, not without a governor on it. So, I mean, I'm giving these simple points to you so that you have a vision. So, I mean, it's easy in the beginning to make this stuff up and make you think I'm worth billions of dollars because, I know everything. It is important. It's just not going to make its value known the way people said it was. And let me be totally candid with you, and I'm sorry for all the IBMers here. Watson did this. Watson playing Jeopardy is what became the lightning arrestor for AI the way you understand it. When Watson beat those champions playing chess or playing Jeopardy, that became the lightning rod. That became, okay, here we go. New game. That's it. It's going to all be AI. Let's go. And sadly, IBM did not capture the value that it created. I mean, and that's not me saying it, go look yourself. So be careful what you say. I didn't mean for you to think AI is not going to be important. It is. The way it's pitched, I mean, it's not. ChatGPT, per se, other than to be your friend and be able to answer your stupid questions, online, ain't going to be the answer. That's not the answer. You want to get it done, you want to get it done efficiently, effectively, thoughtfully, productively. I'm telling you right now, if it doesn't fit in your computer, you shouldn't be using it. If the algorithms you're writing don't fit in your computer, you shouldn't be using it, because you're wasting a lot of time, effort, and money and energy somewhere else solving a problem that could be done much simpler. That's my point. And in all due respect to the person who spoke the last time, a lot of what I'm saying is now self-evident. There are people retrenching left and right off of AI. Every day there's another article being written about who threw this out, who threw that out, who said that was stupid, who said that was stupid. I don't know where that IBM quote came from, but I'm a little disappointed. I don't think IBM would have ever made that quote, to be honest with you. I think Arvind's a little too smart for that, and I think all the people at IBM would have never said that. Their goal is to make people more productive. Time-saving machines. You know, I'm not the only one who knows that. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, right here.
You made an impassioned case for diversity and expressed hope. But in the broader world, I see people jettisoning diversity all over the place. How do you deal with that dichotomy?
I don't.
Okay.
I just know. I stick to my story. I'm sticking to my story. I'm right. And stick with me. I mean, it's going to come to pass that everything I'm saying is true. We need more diversity. We need more women. We need more. The gap is too big. You know, so rhetoric is rhetoric. You know, politics are politics. Put them aside. The facts are going to be the facts, and they're going to be on my side. They're going to simply say, we've let this atrophy for too long. We've got, I don't know, whether how you view it, it's 15 years, 20 years to make up in 5 years. How do we do it? How do we accelerate, you know, getting more talent into this pool to make the difference that we need? So, yeah, I know I read the same stuff you're reading. I know what you're saying. They're pulling back on, you know, diversity for diversity's sake, but when they wake up and realize that there's nobody to actually run the tool, there's nobody to actually design the circuit, when there's nobody to actually plug the little bugger in to get the thing to work, they're all going to be singing a different tune. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. You had a question here?
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry, and then we come to the front. Yeah.
I was wondering about companies like Facebook or Twitter, whether they're a threat to democracy.
That's a powerful question. I'll tell you what I think the real threat to democracy is, and they can aid or abet or do the opposite, is understanding what the truth is. So you have to all understand this is the truth. These are the facts. This is the way it works. No matter how many times you tell me 1 + 1 = 2, doesn't equal 3. You can say it as many times as you want. 1 + 1 = 3, it equals 2. So what you want to do is to make sure you're supporting organizations that understand how to identify a lie or the not the truth. And there are more and more organizations that are doing that. And that's hopefully a set of tools that we're going to give you. So you can read Facebook, you can read Twitter, you can read whatever you want or wherever you want to go, but you just, oh, okay, so there it is. It's bullshit. It's a lie. But, you know, half the room is going to believe it. But that's their choice. But you're believing a lie. I can't say this strongly enough. Brenda mentioned the Peace Tech Lab. We've converted that into IPIE, the International Platform for Information Exchange. That's an international organization. That's all they do, is help bring tools forward to tell you it's a lie. It's fake. You can believe it. It looks good, sounds good, might even feel good, but it's fake. You understand what I'm saying? We should be able to give you those tools. We should be able to put those in your hands to help you make better decisions. You can still believe it. You have the freedom of choice to believe what you want, but you're going to believe a lie. That's my story, and I'm sticking to that too. I'm sorry, you had a question? Yeah.
Two things, a comment one and a question two. The comment is, the Dalai Lama once said that the world will be healed by Western women. so I just thought.
I don't even know the Dalai Lama, but I'm already a big fan.
The second is more of a management question. I was at Watson in the 1990s when you all absorbed Lotus. And I was at the board meeting where they were talking about, okay, what's our global strategy going to be? And I was sort of saying first doctors and the importance of that and Hotmail and things like that. And they stopped me at a certain point and said, Chuck, do you see how much money we have on our balance sheet? We don't have to get into the entrepreneurial business because we'll just watch the landscape and then we'll just suck up whoever we need to. I thought, wow, that's an interesting one. They didn't teach us at a business school. The second one was I was doing a lecture at a university in New York, and we were talking about creativity, and one of the questions that was asked haunts me to this day. He's like, I can easily justify the value in saving 200 million, 100 million here or there, and everybody's on board with that. But how do I invest in creativity where the value is not clear? And so I just sort of put that back in your report as to a lot of these paths are sort of unknown, you know? So how do, with all the quarterly pressure that our public corporations have about, you know, you got to show me what you got today. How do we help them adapt that mindset? So,
Where the hell is that chart? This is the chart that matters, to be honest with you. I don't know where it is. Maybe they came and got it. Maybe IBM got it. The chart that says leadership. That's what it's all about. So what you're addressing is people see what's going on. They have all kinds of reasons to do what they're doing. I understand your point about what did or didn't happen to you with Lotus. I have my own view. I was there too, by the way. I spent a lot of time making sure that we propagated same-sex partner benefits at IBM. Because when we bought Lotus, Lotus had them. And the question was whether or not we were going to get rid of them versus propagate them. David knows this because I've told him this story several times. It was a famous meeting with Mr. Gerstner, and I said to him, Lou, you can do whatever the hell you want. It's your company. But you have no idea where the talent is that you're telling everybody we're going to get to do the things that you're telling everybody we're going to do. And if you don't propagate same-sex partner benefits, you are putting yourself at great risk. He didn't like that. We ended the meeting. The very next day, we propagated same-sex partner benefits. Fascinating story. You have to bring it always back to value creation. You have to bring these difficult issues we're talking about, like women, diversity, where you have to bring them back to common sense. Hey, this is what you want? You don't get what you want unless you do this. And you need a leader to be able to stand up, who has the courage of their convictions, to be able to stand up and say, don't do this, it's on you. It's on you. That's what makes a difference, to be honest with you. More than anything else, people know they're smart, but I make everything about business. I do a lot of work at the National Academies on this topic. They're always trying to, SCOTUS decision, with respect to diversity, what do we do about that? So here's what we do about it. We make it all about business. If you make it more about business, okay, you're deciding you're going to have a shitty business. It's fine. You don't want any women working here? That's fine with me. So good luck. See how that works. That's the difference that we're talking about here. This is what leaders do. They see through it. We can argue technology forever, but these are simple concepts that say you're in control. You have no idea what you're doing, but you're still in control. You owe the shareholders value. Lou, we don't want to do same-sex partner benefits? Fine with me. I have no freaking idea whether we can do half the things you said. Because nobody was out yet. Nobody had said anything about it's okay. to be gay. How do we know who's going to leave? I did this in Singapore for the Prime Minister of Singapore. I've never been invited back, by the way. But it's the same thing. You want the benefit, but you don't want to make the commitment. It doesn't work. So, am I making sense? Always make it as much as you can about business. It's hard for people to walk away from that swing point decision. It's very hard for them to walk away, saying, we don't need it. Yeah, we're done. Okay, try that. See how that works. Let's see how long you last, right? You want to look at all the CEOs that got fired, in the last 12 months? Yeah? It's not such an easy job. I hope that helps you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So the chart I was looking for was the leadership chart, which I obviously had fumbling trying to find. But the courage of your convictions is what matters. Because in the end, they all come back to these gut issues. That's where it resides. Whether you're an engineer or a scientist, whether you're in life science or physical science, it all comes back to a gut issue. What do you believe in? What do you really think matters?
You have a question?
Yes, sir.
I don't really have a question. I just have a comment. Is to promote and support what you're saying. There's a guy named Michael Bloomberg who was an
Amen.
engineer
Yeah.
at Hopkins.
Yeah.
He revolutionized
Yes.
the finance industry,
Yeah.
which I've been a part of.
Yeah.
And I can just tell you, he's still making money
Yeah.
every day
Amen.
because no one could figure out how to put all of the information in one place for one person to look at,
Yeah.
to figure out that they can make a trade, do whatever they need to do. It's called the Bloomberg screen.
Yep.
And he's charging X amount of
I hear you.
dollars on a monthly basis. Man's worth $100 billion.
God bless you.
Just to let you know
Amen.
that engineers can do
Yay.
money.
Even the engineers from Hopkins.
There you go. Not even a good school.
Yeah.
And a good engineer.
Yeah, man.
And he wasn't electrical, by the way. I mean, mechanical, but he did.
Thank you. That's a very good comment. Yeah. Yes. Victor.
So, working with different nonprofits in between the colleges and also the businesses, you can tell that the universities are struggling with what their curriculum should look like over the next 4 years because of AI. We're trying to ask the businesses, and it's a really difficult conversation. What would your advice be to both sides of the house?
Yeah, to get more basic, to be honest with you. My advice to everyone is to go deeper on the basics of what's really happening. And if all you're going to do is produce for me these flash in the pan AI students, you're making a big mistake. Because by the time they get to work, by the time they actually get to do work, we'll be to something else. I mean, the firefly is before the storm. That's kind of what you're looking at. You're making a mistake when you look at the fireflies before the storm. That's what AI is. There is a storm coming. It's a good storm. We can get a lot of benefit from it. But if all you do is look at those fireflies, you're making a big mistake. So if they call me up, sometimes they do, sometimes they don't here in Connecticut, I advise them the other way around. I mean, I'm advising Sacred Heart University to build an engineering school right now. Right now. Start with mechanical, start with electrical. We have them connected to ASML. Get purposeful. You want to have a real university. There is no real university without an engineering school, by the way. I mean, that is true. So, I think you got to get, this is back to that gut feeling that we talked about, right? Get back to the basics. We got to get them ready for the rest of their lives. Not for the next 5 years, not for the next 3 years, not for the next firefly. We have to get them ready for the storm. We have to get them ready to make a difference. That's what I would be advising people to do.
Nick, I'm going to ask you, after all this technology and business, which I'm a big supporter of,
Yes.
where do the humanities humanities come into play? Where does the soft sciences, we're sitting in a library, we have a history of a democracy which thrives on, we're the first cultural district in the state. So how do humanities play into the future where technology is driving everything?
So, I mean, it's got to be the art of. That's why I built the title the way I built it. You know, you got to know something about all of it. You got to know something about the science of things, the engineering of things, and the art of things. And the art of things requires you to be able to walk, talk, and chew gum at the same time. You have to be able to express yourself. You have to be able to write. You have to be able to explain things. I made my living at IBM, horsey, horsey, ducky, ducky. I made everything horsey, horsey, ducky, ducky. I made the most complicated things simple. I mean, even Lou Gerstner said that of me. I mean, that's about as good a tribute as you can get, you know? I mean, why does it have to be so complicated? If you don't have some mastery of the arts, it's hard for you to do that as an engineer. You want to explain everything the way you know it, in ones and zeros. Or you want to explain it in circuits, or you want to explain it in code. No, that's not the way the real people of the world care about it. What do you, I mean, I tried to do some of that tonight with quantum computing, with life sciences. I mean, to make those links for you. I've been writing more now than I've ever written in my life. My book, of course, but I've written several pieces for the National Academy of Engineering, the American Academy of Arts and Sciences. I write all the time now, you know, my opinion about what's right and what's wrong in the world. And I guess it must be slow because they seem to be publishing a lot of that stuff. So I can't say enough about being able to walk, talk, and chew gum at the same time. That's why I'm chewing gum while I've been walking and talking. I mean, it's like, that's what we have to make sure the engineers that we're graduating come out and do. That's what we should make sure your son is capable of doing. Yeah, I know. Well, I mean, so fine. You know, maybe he doesn't understand it now, but he will. There'll be a light bulb that goes off in his mind where it says, okay, it just, bang, you know, pivoted. I pivoted. Didn't forget everything, but now I see the future. You know, I have the courage of my convictions. I can make it easier for you. I can make it simpler. Who the hell wants to make complicated things more complicated? I don't. I mean, I don't know how to convince you to give me your money for startup companies if I'm speaking complicated stuff to you, because you don't understand it. You know, and that's the way you have to kind of come about this. So, consequences of your actions, we can talk about ethics, we can talk about, you know, the theory of the case, all those things are important. You know, you should know and speak up if you're doing bad things. I mean, hopefully they're teaching that in engineering school. I mean, they did when I went to engineering school. I had to take an ethics course. And engineers like that. They like to be unleashed, to speak about the adverse consequences. Yeah, I can develop that for you, I'll give you that. But you know what? If I were on the other side of the line, I'd be using it to do this to you. That's how it happens. The difference is marginal, you know? Crooks are usually very smart, but very lazy. That's why they're crooks. That's why cyber issues exist. They're very smart, but very lazy. And they just want to make as much money as they can for the least amount of effort. So yeah, I think arts are terribly important. I mean, how could you not, you know? So yeah, I don't know what else to say. I'm never going to be writing, you know, a book that, you know, will make it to the New York Times bestseller list, but I don't give a shit. That's not why I wrote my book in the first place. I wrote my book because I just wanted to self-document myself. I wanted to be able to write it down before everybody else decided what it was after I was gone. I said, no, this is what it is. So maybe we've got to get more to answer your kid. Does he still talk to you?
He's working for Lisa Sue.
I know he's working for Lisa Sue. So I used to mentor her son. What a great kid. And just a perfect example, right here in Ridgefield. He comes to me one day and says, Mr. Donofrio, Ridgefield High School has nothing else to teach me. so could you kind of put some courses together and come, and there's like 8, 10 of us. And I said, whoa, I don't think that's a good idea, so let's talk about what you're doing and why, and before you know it, we got him to go to University of New Hampshire in the summer. He went to a special gifted students program, did incredibly well, and we kind of turned his attention towards chip design. That wouldn't surprise you, would it? And he went to Georgia Tech, did incredibly well at Georgia Tech, and now he's working for AMD as a microprocessor designer. It all started with this simple little coffee he and I had at Taz's, where he comes to me and says, they have nothing to teach me, and I'm not alone. He said, there's like 8 or 9 of us. And I said, whoa, I don't think that's true. So, but he's a perfect example of what you can do when you listen and you are willing to change. And couldn't be prouder of him. Okay?
Thank you, Nick, for your words, your wisdom, and your giving us all something to think about.
My pleasure. Thank you all very much.